The Facebook ads platform has lots of tools to help us reach our campaign goals. One of those is bidding strategies. Odds are you're probably using the default lowest cost bid strategy, where Facebook tries to get you as many results as it can, depending on your campaign objective, at the lowest cost. But in some areas, you might need to make sure that you have some cost caps, or you might want to optimize for maximum return on ad spend instead of just lowest cost. So today we're going to go through all of the different Facebook ads bidding strategies and talk about what might be right for you. I hopped into Facebook Business Manager and I just created a placeholder campaign. So I've got a new campaign, new ad set, new ad over there on the left. And I went into the ad set, which is where the optimization and delivery settings live when you're using ad set level budgets. Later in the video, I'll talk about how to adjust your bidding strategy if you're using campaign budget optimization. But for right now, let's stick with the ad set level. The default settings that you see here, where we've got optimization for ad delivery set as conversions, and then that cost control field just has a few X's in it. This is going to be the default setting known as lowest cost. What the lowest cost bid strategy is going to do is try and maximize ad delivery and get you as many conversions as it can within your daily or lifetime budget. The best case scenario for using lowest cost is when you don't have strict cost per conversion or returns goals in place. And Facebook does clarify in some of their documentation of lowest cost that it doesn't mean that Facebook is trying to actually get you the lowest cost per conversion on any given day. It's trying to get you as many conversions as it can. So that means that CPA will fluctuate day to day depending on what the performance is within your target audiences on that given day. So don't assume that just because you're using lowest cost that you're always going to see a very low or even decreasing cost per conversion. That's simply not the way it's going to work. But Facebook is going to actively try and get you as many conversions as it can on any given day. This is probably the most common bidding strategy that people use on Facebook. I personally use it quite a lot, and it tends to work relatively well. But if you need to have more of those cost controls on your conversion, you need to hit a certain CPA, or you want to make sure that you're only being so aggressive to enter the auction, that's where the next two bid strategies come in. And we're going to start using this cost control field down here. Before I fill out any number, I am going to open up this Show More Bid Strategies option right here. And we can see that we're going to start getting into cost cap or bid cap, and I'll talk through each of those. So the first one is going to be the most common option. Let's say rather than trying to maximize conversions, we know that our cost per conversion needs to be $25 or lower to be profitable. So our goal on Facebook is to get conversions at a $25 cost per conversion. So we can come in here and set a cost control of 25. And once we do that, you'll notice that those two boxes down below of cost cap and bid cap came out of black and white. Now they have some color because now we're eligible to use them. You can also see that the text changed below that cost control field. Now it says Facebook will aim to get the most purchases and for the average cost to be no more than $25 using the cost cap bid strategy. So what this means is it's effectively going to operate in the same way that a Google Ads target CPA bidding model will. It means on any given day, your cost per conversion can fluctuate. It can be $30, $50, $10, $15, all these different ranges. But the goal is that over time, Facebook will average out to get you a $25 cost per conversion. Clearly, this is a strategy that it's kind of easy to see the instance where you need to use it. If you do have really strict profitability metrics and you know your target cost per conversion needs to be within a certain range, a cost cap can be a really good option for you to make sure that Facebook tries to optimize for the number that you need it to be. There are a couple of downfalls for using a cost cap bidding strategy, on the other hand. One is that Facebook is going to be more conservative when you have a cost cap in place because it's going to try and hit your target cost per conversion over that period of time. That's the benefit, but it means that it's not going to be as aggressive serving into different audience members, and it's not going to take as many chances. So it could both underserve the daily or lifetime budget that you have. It simply won't serve through the budget that you've given it. And it also could miss out on some incremental conversions that could be of a lower or higher cost. So you need to make sure that that's something that you're willing to give up to make sure that you're hitting your target cost per conversion. The other downfall has to do with the learning phase. Every time you make a change in Facebook, the algorithm kind of stops, takes a second, has to learn who it can serve to get results. With cost cap, it's going to take Facebook a little bit longer to learn and get out of that learning phase because you have this restriction in place. That also means that during that learning phase, it probably is not going to meet the cost cap that you have. Be patient if you need to use a cost cap, that over the first week, 2 weeks, something along those lines, you might need to be a little bit lenient while Facebook is learning how to serve your ads within your audiences while also meeting your cost cap. The last downfall of cost cap is that not every conversion action is eligible for it. So depending on which optimization action you've chosen at the ad set or campaign level, you might come in here and find that cost cap is not an option, which is unfortunate, but that's just the way it goes. So make sure that you're going to be able to use the right bidding strategy, and if not, maybe rethink your conversion action or rethink the bid strategy that you need to use. The next bidding strategy I want to talk about is bid cap, and this is arguably the most advanced option that we have within Facebook ads. Rather than setting a target cost per conversion, setting a bid cap is going to actually determine the amount that you're willing to bid to enter the auction. So in this instance, I still have 25 here just because I don't want to change it, but it says Facebook will aim to get the most purchases, which is my conversion action up at the top, without bidding more than $25 in any auction using the bid cap strategy. I would encourage most of you to not use this strategy. This is a very controlled strategy that takes a lot of extra hand-holding along the way. This is best used if you have some sort of external lifetime value or value and conversion tracking metrics, because now you're just trying to determine what it takes to enter the auction and literally no other factors after that. So you're kind of hampering Facebook, and it's not going to be able to learn and find nearly as many audience members for you. Overall, bid cap probably is not the way to go unless you have a more sophisticated algorithm outside of Facebook that you can leverage to make sure that you're getting the returns you need on your Facebook ads. The last two bidding strategies move away from the conversion action optimization. We start to optimize toward value. So I'm going to come up here and choose from the conversions dropdown. I'm going to change it to value. Now the first thing that you'll see here is that there's an alert. This is happening in February of 2021. Soon you will only be able to optimize for value when the chosen purchase event has value set turned on. And you can edit this in your events manager. What this means is that if you are optimizing toward a purchase action, like I am in this ad set on a website, that does pass value back into the Facebook ads platform, you will not be able to utilize a lowest cost option. Instead, the default is going to be for you to optimize toward maximizing value. So if you are in e-commerce where you have a wide range of different products and you're passing values back into Facebook, this is something to be aware of. You need to know that moving forward, you're going to optimize to maximize returns as opposed to trying to get as many conversions as possible. So in some ways, I've already described this next bidding strategy. It's effectively the ROAS complement to trying to maximize conversions that were for lowest cost. In a maximize returns bidding strategy, Facebook will aim to spend your entire budget and get the most purchase value using the highest value bidding strategy. So rather than trying to maximize the number of purchases, Facebook is going to try and help you sell products or services that have higher values on average, so your return on ad spend will increase. This is great if you're really trying to maximize that ROI number on your campaigns and you don't necessarily care how many purchases you have. But in a lot of instances, and this will lead into our next bidding strategy, we need to control what our return on ad spend is in the same way that for a conversion campaign, we might need to control what our cost per conversion is. And this is the last bidding strategy I want to talk about, is the minimum return on ad spend control. Again, this is optional, just like the cost cap was for the conversion action option. But here you can set a certain minimum ROAS that you want Facebook to hit with your individual ad sets. You'll see the X's in the placeholder box are formatted in the way that Facebook reports return on ad spend, which is a whole number with a period in it, as opposed to a percentage in the way that Google Ads reports. So be sure that you're formatting it the way that Facebook wants to read it. Let's say you want to hit a 3-to-1 return or a 300%. I'll come in here and just type in 3.0. And now you can see the text has changed. Facebook will aim to get the most purchase value and for your average return on ad spend to be 3 or higher using the minimum return on ad spend strategy. I'm guessing you can probably see some of the benefits here. Obviously, if Facebook is optimizing toward getting you a higher return on ad spend and it says that 3 or 300% is going to be the lowest, it's probably going to do a pretty good job of making sure that it gets you some performance around that range, but it's going to be the average of that performance over time in the same way that the cost cap was a target conversion action over time. So any given day could be higher or lower, but it's going to do its best to reach this 3.0 minimum return on ad spend. The downfall is going to be the same as the cost cap. If Facebook can't get the returns that it needs to hit your minimum return on ad spend target, it's going to underserve, it won't spend your full budget, and depending on how much volume you have coming through still, it might make it even harder to hit that 3.0 return on ad spend control, and then you might see even bigger fluctuations day to day as Facebook tries to take chances and see if it can get you the returns that it needs and finds different pockets of performance where it can get those returns. Overall, those are the 5 bidding strategies we can use on Facebook: lowest cost, cost cap, bid cap, highest value, and minimum return on ad spend. I said at the beginning that this is going to be the setup for when we have things in the ad set, but you can use these different bidding strategies with campaign budget optimization. So let's hop into the campaign settings and I'll show you how that works. We first need to opt the campaign into campaign budget optimization. And when we do that, you can see that we have the campaign budget controls and all that sort of thing. And then the bid strategy is going to live here. And if you hover over it, you'll see that there's a pencil, but you'll notice that you'll start off with that blended bidding strategy that I talked about earlier when we got the error. Highest value or lowest cost. So in this account, this is an e-commerce account that utilizes purchase events on the website and it passes value back into Facebook, and there are quite a different range of values associated with each purchase. So this is going to default to a highest value bidding strategy. But if I had a lead generation account where it was basically just firing on a thank you page URL every time we got a lead and there was no value associated, Facebook is going to opt for the lowest cost option. So again, these are going to be blended moving forward, and they're going to be the default for any campaign that you set up for campaign budget optimization. If you want to change that, as you can see, there's a pencil over here on the right. Just click edit, and then in this drop down, we'll be able to choose all of the different actions that we had before, and you'll notice that they're laid out, and now it's just going to be 4 options instead of 5. So we've got the default at the top, highest value, lowest cost, and then we still have cost cap, bid cap, and minimum return on ad spend bidding strategies that you can choose from. The thing to know here is that when you set up campaign budget optimization, every ad set within that campaign will have to adhere to your cost cap, bid cap, or minimum return on ad spend. So if you have some audiences that are higher value than others, maybe you have, for some reason, a retargeting audience and a prospecting audience in the same campaign, you might want to set a cost cap. But depending on how those audiences perform, you could be missing out on volume coming from a specific campaign. Let's say the prospecting audience is easier to generate initial leads and the retargeting audience isn't. If your cost cap is set up to be calibrated for your prospecting audience and it's very low, odds are your retargeting audience is not going to be served very much because Facebook can't get you the conversions that you want at that cost cap level. The same sort of thing would happen for a bid cap. Depending on how big your audience is and a lot of other factors that go into it, some audiences have much higher CPMs than others. And if you set these bid caps, you might notice that those more expensive audiences simply aren't getting the impressions because you're not allowing Facebook to bid as high on them. So when you're setting these up at the campaign level, make sure that whatever controls you're setting for conversions, bids, or minimum ROAS are going to be conducive to all of the audiences and all of the ad sets within that campaign. If they're not, maybe you need to break things out or revert back to using the ad set level budgets and controls. Overall, the highest value or lowest cost bidding strategies get used the most because they tend to perform pretty well. Like I said earlier, for the most part, I tend to use those because they give me the returns that I need on my campaigns, and I end up pulling other levers. But in your accounts, if you need to, now you know how to set up the different caps and minimums to make sure that your campaigns are hitting the goals that you need. Thanks for watching our video. If you thought it was useful, give us a thumbs up below.
We release a new video at least once a week, so if you want to get notified of when a new one comes out, be sure to subscribe to the Paid Media Pros channel.